Welcome everybody, Jameson C. Montgomery here with you. I cannot wait for this video. This is going to answer a lot of questions that some of you may have regarding red light therapy and all the benefits that it has and that it brings. Some of you have asked me questions via email. I've gotten a few text messages, some messenger memos. So I really wanted to do this video because it's very important, very dear to my heart here. Ever since I started to present the ability to heal using red light therapy. Obviously, it's not new technology. It's not a new invention. It's not something that just popped up this year. It's been getting a lot of notice lately. Medical professionals, some that have practiced many years, have already used this technology to heal. It's in lots of spas and clinics and treatment centers, physical therapy centers, but very rarely is it talked about with healing Eustachian tube dysfunction, and it's possible. So let me give you a little background about my story and how I came about of knowing red light therapy works for Eustachian tube dysfunction, and it may also help with tinnitus or tinnitus for you. Now, if you're new to my channel, you know this is something that I constantly talk about. I have a group that I'm a part of that I created to help others find their healing. So back to my personal story is 2.5 to almost 3 years I was dealing with this condition, did not know where it came from, never had a severe issue of allergies, been exposed to allergies before, like pollen and seasonal things like that, but nothing severe enough to cause a 2.5 long, very debilitating condition. So I started to do my research. I started digging around, trying to figure out what could be my problem and what is causing this problem, and why can't I heal from it after 2.5 long years. So basically, everybody's story is different. Everyone's going to have a different approach to what's causing their Eustachian tube dysfunction. What makes this hard in this condition very difficult to detect what's causing it and what could be the case of how you come about is that it can be a couple things. So obviously we know allergies does play a role. I'm not going to debunk and say that it's not a part of this. It has nothing to do with Eustachian tube dysfunction, but I'm going to say this very boldly that it's very rare that allergies is the reason for the longevity of this condition. It may be the introductory reason of why you have it, but nowhere should it take 2.5 to almost 3 years. And some of you have told me 8-9 years, and that's just I just can't really fathom how I would be able to do that. But I wanted to tell you that allergies can be the main culprit of the beginning of it. Now, let me tell you this. What you don't see and what you don't hear from a lot of physicians, and I'm going to boldly say that as well, nothing against physicians, but obviously with time constraints and things like that, these things don't get talked about. So you have a visit, you do the preliminary testing and things like that. It's always written off that you have allergies, and that's kind of where it stands. So then you go the route of trying to cure your allergies or trying to minimize the impact of your allergies with nasal sprays and different things like that. Little do you also know you're harming your body by putting something like a nasal spray or allergy medication that you are not really treating the source, but you're maybe, treating the lining of it, but not really getting down to the core of what's really causing this problem. So then over the time of me taking this personally, taking medication, Zyrtec and Benadryl, all kinds of different medication, I was actually going backwards instead of going forward with actually healing from this condition. I started to develop side effects, hard to go to sleep at night and just feeling drowsy all the time. And that was actually making my condition worse. Then later after that, panic attacks and anxiety started to jump into place. So that was making it very hard for me to really get down to the core of why this was causing the problem. So while you're solely focusing on the fact that it's allergies causing the problem, that's where your main focus is. And really, I'm going to tell you right now very, very strongly that it's usually not the problem. It's the start, but not what's keeping it. And what was happening with me is that when I realized allergies, I obviously had them, not to this extent. So I was going about treating it that way, nothing else happened. Later did I find that I had problems with clenching my jaw. And so when I started to really focus on the mechanical side of this condition, that's when I started to really realize, okay, I'm getting closer to solutions now. Before it was just, okay, spray this nostril, spray that nostril, take that medication, and then I'm going to go about my day. And no one told me about the mechanical side of things, like posture is a problem, clenching of the jaw is a problem, suboccipital issues leading down from the neck and down to the spine, issues with a muscle called the masseter muscle. When I discovered the masseter muscle, I realized that my whole world really started to open up to the idea that this condition can be caused by more than just internal congestion and issues with my nasal passages. This is actually a problem mechanically that I may be the problem. And by longer, I was aiding to the longevity of having this condition unknowingly. So if you're in this position and it's been, let's say, I'm going to say longer than 2 months, 2 to 3 months, and you're still having this problem. I also find that it can be in just one ear, and that was my problem. It was only my left ear that I was having the swishing sounds. A lot of you have asked, have you had like clicking sounds? Congestion obviously was an issue. Equilibrium issues, feeling off balance. These were all present, and these were everyday feelings. These weren't just every now and then. And then you would have the every now and then anxiety moments, panic attacks. These were things that were every so often, depending on the situation at hand of what I'm dealing with. Driving in the mountains, things like that you've all have asked me about, and I wanted to completely address all of these things. So I'm at home one night doing some research, trying to figure out how to get rid of this condition. Now, at this point, I have seen dozens and dozens of specialists and physicians, and I was getting nowhere with that. So I had to continue putting it in my own hands, and I advise all of you to do the same. People will tell you not to use Google. I will say do the opposite. Google does help if you filter accordingly. I will say if you're an adult, Google all you want. And of course, if you're an adult and you're at a point where you don't feel severe, but you just don't feel right, then filter out the things that you know about yourself that's right. Filter out the things that may not be the problem. You're going to see things obviously that don't pertain to you. But as an adult, I say if you're not in a medical condition or you're dealing with issues outside of this condition, by all means, I feel it's completely safe to do your own research and try to figure out your own problems, because no one's going to take care of you like you will. So if you hear people say don't Google, I completely disagree. Like anything else, it's like going to the movies. If the movie's rated R and you go in and watch it and you're upset by it, well, you went into the movies. That was your decision. So it's the same with trying to figure out who you are and what's causing your problem. And doing research is no harm at all. But of course, do it with some practicality of the nature, and don't do it if you are in a state of current shock and you need professional guidance in that sense. So sorry, folks, I sidetracked you. I'm at home and I'm researching, and I pull up something called infrared light and red light therapy, and I start to really read about it, and I started to say, wait a minute, this might be something that is going to help me. Why not? I mean, I've tried everything else. I've spent tons of money on going to urgent care visits and hospital visits, ER visits. So I said, why not? I'm gonna do my research first, and then I'm going to purchase a machine, and I'm going to do my own experimentation of this device. And mind you, there's tons of devices online. I do recommend one particular device, but there are hundreds of them out there online. So as I'm doing the device, I'm researching it. I'm looking at what could cause. First of all, I wanted to find something that's going to help my ear heal. Nasal spray, allergy medication, yes, we know that can limit the amount of fluid in the ear by providing antihistamines and helping you lower some of that, the clogging, the swelling of your ear. It's going to help minimize some of that things. But of course, it comes with side effects, and those side effects affect people differently, obviously. So I needed something that was going to help me without all the damage that it's going to be done, and something that I can do long term, because I'm more of a long term person in a sense that if it's helping me and it will help me, I don't mind sticking to the program, knowing that I'm doing something and I know it's kind of hurting me at the same time. I don't like it at all. So I'm researching and I find something called red light therapy, and I start reading about it and how it can help you. So one of the questions I keep receiving is red light therapy or NIR, which stands for near infrared. Which one helps and which one do I do? So let me give you an example of both red and NIR and how they're different, but yet very effective in different ways. So red and NIR light are basically a part of something called an electromagnetic spectrum. And if you've seen it on different websites, it's short for EM. So going back to the explanation of EM, or the electromagnetic spectrum, it's basically measured in something called nanometers. That's a certain wave, and that's how it's calculated. With red light, it's going to be visible light. So it's not going to penetrate as deep as NIR. And I think red light is penetrating about 625 to about 700 nanometers, which is going to be significantly less than NIR. So in this sense, with Eustachian tube dysfunction, you're going to need to penetrate the light deep into the ear to heal that Eustachian tube that's all the way connected to the middle ear, that's causing all the problems that you're dealing with. And now a lot of the reason is inflammation. And I'm going to tell you this right here: lack of blood flow. That's a huge problem. So with the NIR light, we need to go a deeper wavelength. Now, the NIR light is outside of the visible light spectrum, and we're talking about 780 to about 2500 nanometers, and we cannot see that light at all. We can't see that type of energy. So a lot of the devices you may see online or have used has a function to switch on and off between red light and using an NIR, near infrared spectrum, because the wavelength is going to be higher, which is going to penetrate further into the body. So again, remember, red light visible, NIR not visible. And with red light, let's not knock red light. Red light is something we do need as well. And if you've been to any spa treatment centers and places where they are focused on healing the skin, you're going to notice that red light does have a lot of benefits. It helps with like acne and wounds, and it promotes hair growth. So it helps with a lot of things. But in this sense, we're not trying to treat those things. But again, it's beneficial, but not what we're trying to use it for, and we need something to go as deep as we can to get to our ear. So on the red light side of things, when you're using the device, it's going to penetrate about 1 to 2 millimeters beneath the skin surface. So not enough to really treat what we're trying to treat, which is Eustachian tube dysfunction and tinnitus and other issues with the ear that we just can't seem to figure out. So in this sense, you want NIR in your device because that's going to penetrate about 2 to 7 centimeters into the skin, which is significant. And that's going to help with a lot of the things that I talked about already. That's blood flow. And that is the main thing. If you don't get anything out of this entire video, one of the main problems of why you still have ETD is the lack of blood flow going into that area. And like I said, this is not new technology. NIR has been around for quite some time. It's been proven to help, scientifically proven. I can drop that link as well in the description. It's proven to help with a lot of issues with mental health. It can help with pain relief. It helps with boosting the immune system. Again, if you're having sleep issues, some of you that have used the red light NIR machine, the device for red light therapy, you have noticed that it makes you a little sleepier and it's relaxing the body, providing healthy penetration to the skin. It's really going to help with this condition. And I can tell you right now, when I use this device myself personally, I noticed a sensation right away. And within about 8 days or so, I was back to feeling like myself again. I'm not promoting any device, any type of procedure, anything. I'm not promoting anything here. I'm giving you a true factual story of what my condition was and what helped me. And that was putting this device to the right side of my ear and allowing it to penetrate to deep into my ear to help with the inflammation, the blood flow. And that was the main problem that I was having, is there was not enough blood flow to heal it. Folks, it's like anything else. If you don't have adequate blood flow going into the area of the body that's needing healing, it's not going to heal correctly. So if you're putting that light there, it's promoting the healing, it's promoting the blood flow into that area, and it's going to substantially help you heal that ear. It's so deep in we're talking the middle ear here. It's so deep into inside your body here that medication alone and not doing anything else other than waiting for it to work is not going to help heal the body. And at the same time, you're harming your body while not making progress on healing the body. So if you're interested in looking into a device that's going to help you and you just haven't made the crossover yet to purchasing it, you just feel like it's not going to do anything for you, I guarantee that, if you try this device for less than 30 days, you'll know within 10 days if this device is going to work for you. I can leave in the description the device that I've used. There is a 30-day return back policy too as well. So if you want to try the devices, it can definitely help you out. But I recommend starting with about 15 minutes. For me, I only had issues with one ear, so I would do 15 minutes on one side at the beginning. Within about 2 or 3 days, I started doing 30 minutes. And within about 8-9 days, I really started feeling more like myself and feeling healed again and happy. So again, you want to make sure though, if you're going to start with this light, I recommend about 6 to 12 inches from the skin. And I can put a link to the bottom of the video that a demonstration video of using the device for this condition here. So I will be happy to do that as well. But I can tell you right now, there is a lot of proven science backing this up, but rarely or at all from anyone else do you hear that this is going to help with Eustachian tube dysfunction. So I want to tell you, if you just trial it out, see how it works for you. It has a lot of pluses to it as well. And if it doesn't work for you, I would say in about 10 days, feel free to return it and get your money back. It can really do a lot of good things for you. And I'm excited to bring this type of awareness to everybody to get the benefits that they need. So I hope that answered a lot of you guys' question regarding red and NIR therapy. The device that I particularly use is containing both of those spectrums. So you want to make sure that you get a device that is supporting NIR in terms of how much wavelength the light is able, the energy is able to emit. So you want to make sure you have the correct device. Do a little research, do your homework, and make sure that you do this consistently as well. If you do it once a week and then come back in 3 weeks and say it's still not working, you're not really giving yourself a chance. You're not giving your body a chance, and you're not even giving the device a chance. So you have to really be consistent. And again, folks, this machine is not healing everybody, because guess what? We don't know what your main cause is. Most of the cases that I've seen have had issues with blood flow not going to that area, and they have found healing. If it does not work for you, then I can tell you that that's not your problem. It's just like anything else. Let's say you've torn your Achilles, but you're sitting there icing it and heating it and still not feeling normal. Well, there's more that has to be done, and there's more medical examination that has to happen. It's not just the bruise. You have to go a different route and try to figure out what your best way is of healing. But in this sense, for me, this is what worked for me. So for everyone that feels like this is a scam or it's not going to help you, again, it's a certain way to heal what might be your problem is. Again, we're all in the dark of what's causing our problem and what's making it last so long. So again, give it a chance, be patient, be consistent, and I guarantee you'll start feeling some healing. I ask you all to subscribe to my channel so you can get the latest, greatest health and wellness videos, motivation, yoga, and meditation. But before I let you go, I'd like to leave you with one thing. Being well is feeling well. Feeling well is doing well. Doing well is living well. Take care, everybody.